Santiago Canyon College is an innovative learning community in Orange, California, with more than 260 certificate and degree programs. Santiago Canyon College is a proud sponsor of community programming and OC World.
OC World is made possible by the generous contributions of Marisla Foundation, Keith and Judy Swain Family Foundation, Wells Fargo Bank, the University of California, Irvine, Orange County Community Foundation, Farmers and Merchants Bank, and viewers like you. Thank you.
I probably have had the most incredible life ever, and I've been so blessed all the way down the road, thanks to our Lord Jesus. I have been working forward to do great and wonderful things in His name. I work from 5 in the morning till probably 7 or 8 at night, 6-7 days a week. I've been blessed with a wonderful wife. We've been married for 48 years. And we work together to make good things happen in our community.
At this particular awards event, sponsored by Orange County Business Journal, Harrah was introduced as a visionary in transforming the Orange County skyline and as a leading Orange County philanthropist. I thought we'd start by just focusing on the Orange County Business Journal. You recently won the Entrepreneur of the Year award. And I was wondering, how would you define yourself as an entrepreneur these days?
Well, there's so many different ways to look at that, and I even thought about that too. When we first started on that Entrepreneur of the Year award, I'm thinking now what are they actually looking for here? Because being self-made and, framing houses for 18 years and all that, it's one of those kind of things where actually I think it just boils down to really hard work. If you work really hard and you spend a lot of time at it, and if you have problems and things come up and you get some big headwinds, you just have to put your head down and just continue on and keep pushing forward.
You were born in Whittier.
Yes.
We were both born in Whittier. And you sometimes talk about the fact that you learned your trade from your dad. Mm-hmm. Can you sort of describe that relationship and what was the greatest lesson you learned from him?
Sure. Yeah, my dad was a machinist for water and power. My mom was a school teacher. She taught history in Whittier. And I always kind of had a problem with that because being a poster child of ADD, running around, driving my parents crazy and everything, I always wanted to do these different things and build stuff out. So I always thought that history was like going backwards. We're here to do good things and build things and make things happen and invent things and be a pioneer. So we didn't have a lot to say, my mom and I, about history. But my dad, being a machinist for water power, he built everything. He built our house, he built the camper, he built the boat, he built the furniture, he built everything that we own. We didn't make that much money. He didn't make the family, but we were very, very wealthy in all the things that we could have that we'd ever want to live and learn with. We learned so much together, both of us, about each other over time. And especially, he would always say there's the right way, the wrong way, and the Mike Harrah way. And then he'd hit me on the back of the head saying, it's not going to be the Mike Harrah way. So as he did that, I believe, in a way so that I would actually pay attention to not just try to do the things that I wanted to do and that I thought were right and reinvent them, but take things that are already perfected and make them better. They always had me go earn my money instead. I mean, every Christmas I woke up, I went to the Christmas tree. Where's that 10-speed bike? Everybody has one. No 10-speed bike. And then one day, I guess after about 3 years of that, he said, well, he goes, if you want a 10-speed bike, son, you got to go earn it. You got to go work for it and buy it yourself. Thinking, what kind of Santa Claus is that, really? So I had a really huge upbringing that had put me way ahead of the curve. So by the time I was 18 or 19 and I was getting out of school, I did have all these trades, and I was making some pretty good money framing houses and building buildings. I've always liked to work in the field and with my hands.
That's really interesting because the skill sets that you learned from Dad are the same skill sets you utilize today to be successful.
They're exactly the same, just a different tool. You know, today it would be a pioneering thing, like my dad would let me work on certain parts of the car and let me kind of run and fail with it a little bit. Maybe putting the fenders back on the car, maybe I didn't quite do it right, but he'd let me do that. And then later on, we'd find out the hood wouldn't fit because, well, you put the fender on the wrong side or you did something wrong. So because of that, that's kind of a pioneering thing. And learning that from him, I guess I've always wanted to prove to my dad that, you know, that I could do it and build it the right way and then embellish on it and make it even better.
When Harrah was older, he eventually started framing custom and track homes in Orange Park Acres, Anaheim, Peralta Hills, and elsewhere, making $250 to $300 a day. That's not easy work.
It's not easy work. It's pretty difficult, although hanging board, hanging drywall is a little bit harder work. And then I found out that paid more, that paid 3 cents a foot instead of 2 cents a foot. And so I started hanging board for quite a while, and then started my own company doing custom home build-outs. And then I built a home, 811 Peralta Hills Drive, that was a custom 12,000-foot home that I had designed at Long Beach, and then sold that. And I sold it to a guy, Rocky Rubino, Carmen M. Rubino, who owned Train Air Conditioning, for $1 million in 1977. I only wanted $316,000 for it then, but he was, when he walked through the house one day, he and I were arguing about things, and I just wanted him to go away. I didn't know who he was. And he said, well, if you own the house, what do you want for it? And I just, as an expression, I said, I want $1 million. And he said, I'll give you $950 and not a penny more. And the deal actually closed at $1 million because I added another jacuzzi to the master bedroom, 50 grand.
Harrah attributes this particular business transition as funding the seed money for his future business opportunities. What was driving you during this time period? Because it seemed like you had a really strong work ethic.
I think it was mostly just a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of competition. You know, I was born with the deal of being competitive and being a pioneer and doing that. I'm going back to the entrepreneurial spirit and stuff like that in this deal when they ask you that question. I think there are people that are, you know, are artists, natural artists, or pinstriper or whatever. I think some people just like to work hard and then they pick up a trade and they better that trade. And so I just wanted to make it better, more streamlined, quicker, put more workers to on the projects. And it really made a big difference in my competitiveness. And at the time, I was water ski racing and then racing boats, Grand National boats. I won the Parker Enduro. It ran for 24 years as a 9-hour enduro. And I won that. I was the only one in the 24 years to drive the entire 9 hours without a relief driver, average over 100 miles an hour, and win first overall. It was a world record.
How'd your body feel after that?
I actually went when we got back from, it was in Parker, Arizona, when we got back from Parker, I went to Hoag Hospital and I was in traction for about a week to separate the spine from all the hard hitting in the boat.
Wow.
So, but you know, like George Thorogood said, tombstone head in a graveyard mind, just 22 and don't mind that.
Who do you love? Yeah, who do you love?
Of course, had I known I'd have lived this long, I would have taken better care of myself. Well, that'd be George Burns. A little bit George Thorogood, George Burns. Things had changed.
Harrah has either owned or operated more than 40 subsidiary companies, employs roughly 1,100 people across 5 states in such diverse markets as residential and commercial real estate, aviation, entertainment, resorts, and his company Caribou Industries is responsible for building and renovating more than 7 million square feet of commercial office, retail, and residential properties. Imagine a small city.
2 of the big projects that we're doing, 3rd and Broadway and One Broadway Plaza. We have the permits on 3rd and Broadway. We'll be starting construction on that. It's a $150 million project. It's here in Santa Ana. It's 171 units of apartments, 13,000 feet of retail and restaurant, and a 10-story hotel. So we'll be starting that and putting that together. And then One Broadway, we've been working on for years, but it is the tallest building in the history of Orange County. It's 500 feet tall. It's 50 stories in height. It'll have like 600 units of apartments with views that are second to none, overlooking the ocean, Catalina, that type of thing. And then we have a couple 100,000 square feet of restaurants and retail in that as well. So,
Why Santa Ana? I know you've been asked this before. You were born in Whittier, but there's something that attracted you to Santa Ana.
it's an incredible city. It has so much history. It has so much going for it. And now with the light rail and with the ongoing of historic homes and retrofitting and neighborhoods, I think the grid layout for Santa Ana is fantastic because it's in a square grid. So it's a great TOD city. It has today a walkability score of 97%. I really believe that the future, especially in Santa Ana, going to that, is going to be this 900 square foot apartment that's up on the 30th or 40th floor that nobody has, with a view of the sunsets, the ocean, all around the mountains and everything. And you can take 14 elevators downstairs, and you have 16 different restaurants, shops, and stores. If you wanted to have pizza delivered, it's all there, or whatever. Ambrosia or Ruth Chris Steakhouse, these type of things that would be premier restaurants on the roof. You could travel up there and see that. So it's totally self-contained. You can get on the light rail that'll be done next year, and you can go to all these different events all around.
So, we're going to go through a couple of the specific properties here in just a moment, but it seems like everything you create, everything you build, we're going to talk about the trucks as well, is big. Everything's massive. And what is it about the massive nature of what you create that's so relevant to you? Why not build something flat and small?
Well, I guess at 6'5", 293 pounds, and Big Mike, I guess maybe it would be pretty hard for me to get into a little Kia and drive to work.
Right.
So, but I think the big part of the deal is, all through my life being a tall guy and all that, I think it's really a pretty neat thing to build something that's larger than life, because I believe people really like that. They enjoy that. It emphasizes whatever you're building, like these big diesel rig trucks that I've designed and built, like Thor or Medusa, like the tallest building in Orange County, like all of these other things that I have taken on in pioneering. It also sets aside the pioneering future of, it allows people to take a look and go, what is he doing? why do you have to build 50 stories? Why couldn't you build 20 stories or 10 like everybody else? I guess that's the bigger or smaller. I don't think I think you'd be lost in the minutia. You would be lost in everything that's there. It wouldn't allow me to build a new fabric for an old city like Santa Ana and build it into something that is so noticeable that you have to look back and say, oh my gosh, we should be living there. So it's a monument, it's an icon, it's sustainable, it has everything going for it. And I think the kids nowadays, do they really want that? I don't really think so. I think that it would be fun to have, but they would like to have it at their fingertips.
How do you imagine other Orange County developers, how do you imagine residents of Santa Ana might perceive you?
Well, when I first got here and I was, it's mostly the city has a lot of historic buildings, of which several of them, maybe 10 or 12, I've completely restored, including this office as well. I think at the beginning it was like, he's going to build the tallest building in Orange County, and you're going to do that in the very middle of some of the most historic homes ever built. So I went to those people in the Historic Society, and all of those people eased their mind. Built myself being a carpenter and loving this type of work anyway. It was easy for me to do. So I had a real passion for restoring these buildings, and I still do today. And when I started doing that, I got more and more people looking at, how does Mike Harrah change the fabric and the surroundings in Orange County? I guess the bottom line to that is somebody didn't do that, we'd all be driving in covered wagons today. I think it's really an important thing that to change a fabric, to be a pioneer, to be an entrepreneur, what you have to do is you have to really, really stay with it. And there's a lot of deterrents, there's a lot of headwinds, there's a lot of things that come up, and they're here every day. Whether you like it or you don't like it, they're here. And you just have to pick yourself up and can keep going. There's a lot of trucks out there that'll run you over. You got to get up and keep moving.
Let's talk a little bit about some of the specific properties in Santa Ana, if you don't mind. One Broadway Plaza, it's right next door here. What's the status of that today?
We have the piles in the ground. We have about 400 piles in the ground, averaging between 65 feet and 250 feet deep. So that is what they call the foundation. And then we have mat foundation that goes over the piles. And then it's down 30 feet. We have the permits for that, and we will be at street level probably with the foundation, I would say January of next year. And then we are making changes to those plans, because originally that was 800,000 square feet of commercial. So we have converted that and we've redone the building to be about 75–80% residential, where the demand in Orange County is tremendous. There's less than 2% vacancy here. So, and it'll be like that for many years. And I think when you build a building like this, the saying, build it and they will come, is very applicable. Also, this is kind of the Empire State Building, so to speak, of New York. I mean, in the height of the Depression, 1929, 1930, they built that building anyway, and they figured, well, it would probably never go. And it did, and it's probably the most iconic high-rise building ever to be built in the world.
So for the residents of Orange County, there have been your naysayers over the years, right? That building will never get built, but you've made progress now. Has it all been properly permitted? Is it ready to go? Are there any other delays to be expected?
Yeah.
So can you just give us a kind of an overall sense of the process?
Yes, the process really goes back, that took about 13 years, which are known as entitlements. To entitle the building to be the tallest building, to be in an FAA zone, to be in an opportunity zone, to have FAR's floor area ratio that meets that of the code of the building, which is 2.9, to the square footage of what you're building, to the number of parking, to traffic analysis. So you have different things. You have environmental impact reports. You have traffic impact reports. There's volumes and volumes of work that has to be done through CEQA, California Environmental Quality Act, through an EIR. And on this piece, it happens to be the ultimate in amount of work, because the demand is, we're saying we want it taller, bigger, better, more sustainable, different than anybody else. Goes into traffic flow studies, air emission qualities, how long will people be sitting in the garage with the engine running and all that. So it goes down to actually, when you do a study of it, how many people will be buying Pepsi's versus Coca-Cola in the building and through a vending machine, or will it be, that's how in depth some of these people that do logistics and that do overall check of the property to find out whether or not it would be successful and sustainable. It's the volumes that we have of work that was done it took about 16, 17 years and about $88 million.
So today, where is it at?
So today, we have gotten an ordinance and a change to affect 400 or 500 units of apartments, which are a huge demand. We also have the surrounding area that we have put together for a little bit more retail, a little bit more use of the property for part of this TOD, transit-oriented development, that connects that with the new light rail. So kind of reinvented that building's overall use. And I think that's probably one of the biggest things going. And now it's really on the 1-inch line of being extremely successful. The timing, I believe, is perfect. Although I'm not going to say that because the Lord has showed me other ways, but I really believe it's perfect timing for that. 3rd and Broadway, the same thing. It's down the street. The demand right now is tremendous. It's trending upward for that over the next probably maybe 7 to 10 years.
Let's give context. $5.5 million in building permits for the mixed-use development, 171 unit apartment complex, hotels. This is the 3rd and Broadway Promenade?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah, this right here on this book here.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is 3rd and Broadway Promenade.
Yeah.
This is the project that we're doing right now.
Right.
We have all the building permits for this.
Uh-huh.
We have, they cost around $5.6 million. And it was a DDA, a disposition development agreement with the city, where the city has an old dilapidated garage. And they said, look, we'll put in the garage. We'll work with you on the steel. You spend 150, 200 million building the downtown area and bringing in tax dollars over the next 50, 60 years. This project here will bring in a little over $2 billion over 50 or 60 years.
So let's talk about the benefit of these two properties that will help the communities surrounding them. What are the benefits for these large?
For the surrounding?
Yeah.
Oh, well, it drives down tax dollars because these generate so much tax dollars that they could actually lower the tax dollars to the people that live here. I think it also attracts a tremendous amount of value, especially to the old historic homes. And I've noticed over the last maybe decade or so, all of the historic homes around this area in the neighborhood, all of these homes are getting owner pride. And people are restoring them like I've never seen before. Only because of the fact of what we're doing and what we're building here adds that value. So it's going to bring more people in. Not everybody is going to live in an 800 or a 1,500 square foot apartment in a high rise, but they may want to live down here with all the amenities of the TOD, and they would then be living maybe in historic homes.
And then what would be some of the sort of negative impacts on the community? I think I'd mentioned I went to an event the other night for the El Sol School. They feel like they're sort of in the shadow of the big, tall building that's coming next door. They're wondering how parents are going to, maneuver in and out of the neighborhood. Are there any other impacts that you can imagine?
I think we have a traffic mitigation plan. So where the drop-off is for the students seem to be the biggest things. But those drop-offs are pretty short-lived. Now, unloading and loading of these kids, they've always unloaded them on Sycamore, not on Main. So on Main, we are adding another lane to the side that will be a drop-off to Main Street, which is really a better place to do that anyway. And so we'll have one way down Sycamore and one way down Main, so it'll move the cars quickly.
It's interesting that even to the fine detail of where the moms come in and out and dads come in and out to drop off their kids, you've even thought that through because you realize there is that impact to the community and what can be done to help sort of mitigate some of those.
Those are really important things.
Yeah.
You know, if you're going to design and build a world-class high school or elementary schools and all that, the sustainability of those schools is more important than the school itself. Because if it doesn't sustain itself, well, then it was all for naught.
Yeah.
So we saw all that. We have never utilized that Main Street or anything, so the people don't really see it. The moms and dads dropping off their kids, they don't see it because it's a fast-moving street. I can understand why they want to be on Sycamore. It's very slow. You don't have traffic out there. But what we'll be doing is we'll be restriping that for another lane for drop-off and make it a safe place for them.
My name is Mike Harrah, and today is all about Thor, the most incredible holy mother of metal ever to be built. We've had it up to a maximum speed now of 130 miles an hour.